Hello folks, welcome back to a new video, and today we're going to be looking at some of your Space Marine chapters. That is right, I get a question a lot thrown at me: can I throw in Chaos things and Imperial Guard things for you to read out? Yes you can, but they won't be on Space Marine videos, they'll be on other videos I'm going to do later on in the year. These are for your custom Space Marine chapters where I read out your lore, I have a look at the art that you've sent in, and I have a look at some of the models that you've done, if you send any in. Again, you can send me in just text, you can send me in just pictures with some explanations of what they are, or you can send me in full lore and with all of the kit and caboodle in there as well, with pictures and models and all sorts. Those are my favourites, so try and send them in if you can. But, without further ado, let's jump in, and today, unlike other days, I can actually show you some of the writing myself. So, here we are. Let's jump in, shall we? Because these are the Knights of Grendel. I have a funny feeling this chapter's going to be Blood Angels. Let's see. Alright, the Knights of Grendel are a Space Marine chapter born of a forgotten founding. The required records that have long since been lost within the bureaucracy of the Imperium, even the names of the founding Marines themselves, have been lost within the sea of paperwork looked over by cogitators and scribes. The world of Grendel itself is a rocky and nearly inhospitable speck in the segmentum Pacificus. Alright, okay. You've situated your world, got it all there, cool. Formerly a forge world. By the way, somebody writing in the 41st millennium wouldn't really use the word paperwork. So, one thing that I've only just really mastered this myself is writing lore in character. It's something that, it's a very advanced skill that people don't normally do when they're writing lore. Try not to write lore like you're writing it. Write it as in somebody in the setting is writing it. You know? That's the best way to do it. Anyway, formerly a forge world, it is now used to habitate everyday citizens of the Imperium. Mountain-sized forges, long dormant, dot the rough and craggy horizon. In centuries past, exploration parties have gone into these towering tombs in search of any potential technology to recover. This practice has since fallen out of practice with the occupation of the Knights of Grendel planetside. These expeditions have resulted in many high-quality artisan armors and weapons being added to the armory of the chapter. I like this. Okay, that's cool. Their armor colours are a brilliant blood red with gold bronze trim and ceremonial bone adorning the armor. Heraldry is a very important concept to the chapter, and each individual company has its own heraldic symbol. The most important of these is the Serpent's Blade. Being the heraldry of the first company, it is held in high regard by the chapter as a whole, and is only beneath the chapter's own symbol and the Imperial Aquila in importance. It is a long sword with a snake coiling around it, with its head next to the hilt. The chapter's own symbol is known as the Second Wing, the second Roman numeral with bat wings, suspiciously similar to those of the Night Lord's Heretic Legion. Okay, bit on the nose there, but you know, I get what you're going for. It is believed that the Knights of Grendel are successors of the Dark Angels Legion from an unknown founding. That does surprise me, considering what they look like. That does surprise me. This is often shown in their battle doctrine. Sending in the 10th Company, they will probe the enemy and look for the best way to go about decimating the foes of the Imperium. After the best approach of attack has been determined, they will drop pod and teleport it inwards. Blood red drop pods make the atmosphere appear as though it is raining a crimson sanguine fluid. Alright, cool. From this adaptability and mix of many different tactics, it is easy to see how they can be descended from the Sons of the Lion. Oftentimes their troops will consist of Terminator Elite in either Indomitus pattern or Cataphracti pattern tactical dreadnought plate. Alright. I liked what you're going here, or how you're going here with the relic stuff that they have. You know, they have a lot more older pieces of armory that other chapters seem not to have. I like it. During a delve into the long dormant forges of Grendel, a great weapon was found and recovered. A Warlord Titan equipped with twin Bellicosa volcano cannons. a brilliant black, green and gold. The spear of Grendel marches to war to protect Grendel's sons. Okay. When the chapter is not away on campaign, she protects the capital hive city of Founder's Lament on the homeworld. The current princeps is redacted to those without high enough clearance. Okay, cool. Notable characters in the chapter are many. The chapter master is a man by the name of Calidus Camtrellian. The chapter champion is a strange and soft-spoken marine by the moniker of the Red Fiend. First captain, Nemia Bird, leads the chapter Terminator Elite. Dreadnought 117 Chief is the eldest and most revered member of Bav Grendel's ranks. Captain Bird's own biological brother, Israfil Bird, leads the fast and psychotic assault intercessors known as the Chain's Teeth. That's not something you see often. And that's families being a part of Space Marine chapters. And I don't know why. We'll make for a bit of a better, you know, feel to a chapter and why they fight together so hard. Anyway, Calidus is the marine known for the most to be the most affected by the genetic curse known as the Emptiness. Being the only marine to reach the final stage, his helm is marked with tear trails of blood down his cheeks. He disappeared through a Doloman gate while locked in combat, with Anrakia the Traveller, and has not been seen since. The position he occupies is not replaced because the whole chapter believes he yet lives and will return at the time of ending. To fill his position would be a great dishonour to him, and so a secondary command position was put into place, that of the Second Wing Master. The Red Fiend is the champion of the Master. Armed with a combi weapon and several monomolecular knives, he slices his way through enemies like butter. Clad in Phobos armour decorated with trophies from fighting Tyranids of Hierophilic Kronos, and a death mask of his face with as a grim reminder that even he will die one day. Every Marine must earn their death mask, and the Red Fiend has more than earned his in spades. His true name has been lost to the ages of the planet. The order of assault intercessors known as the Chain's Teeth are led by a man named Israfil Bird. Biological brother to the first captain, the two became Marines at the same time, banished to the Chain's Teeth as penance for firing upon loyalist civilians. Every battle he chases his demise to escape his shame. His blood brother has become darkened since the banishment. Dreadnought 117, codenamed Chief, is the eldest Marine in the chapter, having been entombed in a sarcophagus ages ago. No more than being a brain and a heart floating within amniotic fluid at this point, it is still a wonder he still lives. Most frames and patterns have seen this warrior instilled within them. Every one was torn to shreds in battle. I like that. I like that. This guy just keeps losing, but he's just so tough that he just keeps coming back. I love it. And they just put him in a new one. That's brilliant. That's so funny. Current status. Within Ballistus frame. His memory was damaged long ago, and as such he can no longer regale the new recruits with tales of past glories. Ultimately, much information has been lost due to this. Okay. The Red Butchers are the Terminator elite that no Marine wants to be sent to. The most bloodthirsty and insane Marines are given lightning claws, cataphracti armour, and sent to the first company, where they will be assigned to protect the high-ranking member of the chapter. Once used to protect the chapter master, they now protect those chosen by the Second Wing Master. Death masks are gifted to Marines whenever a great act of bravery and heroism is accomplished. These death masks will be a perfect one-to-one copy of the Marine's face. This serves as a reminder that the Marines, that even he will perish one day, and he must not be overconfident. This practice has led to the chapter having very level-headed and calm Marines compared to those of other chapters. The Whetstone is a massive capital ship. I like it, the Whetstone. Alright. In orbit around Grendel. It serves as the flagship and even the fortress monastery of the chapter. When unable to be in the system, the Whetstone will still leave its monastic duties to the Black Sword, a massive fortress within the remote mountains of Grendel, an impenetrable bastion of fortifications, bulwarks, and defences. Neither bastion has seen an intruder in centuries, until now, during a recent engagement with Tyranids of High Fleet Kronos. Gene Stealers managed to get aboard the Whetstone and rampage their way through the ship. Chain's Teeth intercessors were deployed to take care of the beasts. All all identifiable monsters were eradicated, but chapter serfs serving aboard the vessel report mysterious growlings and strange beasts stalking through the hallways of the crew's quarters. I think it's your font that you've chosen. It's Courier, isn't it? Yeah, it's Courier. Hard to read. Ultimately, the Knights of Grendel are a chapter of variation. Most Marines being tactical and calm, thinking, but with a portion of violent and psychotic vanguard. Their genetic curse does not help them with the mental struggle of being an Astartes. The emptiness is its current designation. I wanted to hear about this before you sort of went off on a tangent somewhere else. It starts with the Marines' emotions growing colder and more distant, followed by an unending stream of tears. Oh my god. On the rare occasion that an Astarte survives the final stage, they will soon find blood pouring from their eyes. This gives with this curse a horrific and gaunt appearance. The emotional similarities in genetic curses has led to the chapter finding an affinity for the Carcharodon's Astra. This has resulted in the Knights jumping at any chance to serve alongside the Space Sharks. Second Wing Master Lazak Azrisi is a wall of a man, a stoic rock with no ability to be predicted. Most often seen leading his Terminator Haber elite, he carries the sword Dawnfall and the Stormbolter Thunderous Applause, I like that, into battle against any foe who would stand against him. The Haber Terminators are clad in Indomitus patterned tactical dreadnought plate and consist of the most honourable and stalwart Marines of the chapter. They are always to be no more than a handful of paces away from their warden at all times. When the chosen of the Haber, a Marine sent to the moon of Strigoi to undergo rigorous training and psycho-conditioning. Okay. Right, I didn't need to read that last paragraph. Okay, here's some models that he's painted. I like them. I like the fact that they are very bold, aren't they? Extremely bold. Big, bold Marines. I like it. I do like it. Okay. Okay. If this was done in MS Paint, that's a really good job. That's not bad for somebody who's like not artistically, infused. One thing that I kind of don't get, right, about normal Space Marine chapters that sort of take after the Blood Angels, even if they're not actually Blood Angels, is every single chapter of Blood Angel successors just looks like Blood Angels. Do you know what I mean? They're actually worse for that than the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines have a lot of different successor chapters in a lot of different colours. Blood Angels, they all tend to be just, red and gold, Not that you all guys are Blood Angels, but still. I like them. It's cool. Very good chapter to start off the video with there. So, let's jump into our second chapter, shall we? Alright. Hi North. For this, you can call me Vidya. The chapter I'm working on is called The Obsidian Blades, Wayward Sons of the Lion. I started writing and pulling all the concepts together and didn't realise how long the description was getting. Hope it's not too much or too disjointed. Criticism is appreciated. Good man. My characters and my stories tend to move away from grimdark, and I know that isn't the general vibe of the setting, but why would my dudes be there if not to make a long night just a little bit brighter? Alright, let's see what you've done here. Let's see what you've done. It's not too long either. I quite like this. Alright. Story. This chapter is part of my own system, the name of it is pending, of planets and moons that I made up years ago to fit all of my headcanon factions into. Here comes the heresy. They all live in relative peace. That is very strange for a war game setting. Let's see. This is due to the formation of the Cicatrix Maledictum that isolated, both in space and time, the war zone and cut off this section of space for millennia. And the only ones that survived the butchery and deprivation are the member of this unholy and heretical coalition. This is lorded over by a small chapter of Space Marines, formerly known as the Nova Drakes, a heavily mechanized chapter of Salamander successors. Okay. I thought they were Sons of the Lion. But anyway. The Nova Drakes are not the only Marines in the system due to the recent acquisition, the Obsidian Blades. Now oath-bonded to the fate of the system and the coalition itself, genetically Sons of the Lion, they were among the newly raised brotherhoods in the Ultima founding. They were loyal and honourable warriors, specialised in rapid and stealth deployment, which made tactically perfect allies for the Nova Drakes' heavy companies that were not lost to the Cicatrix. The hammer and anvil tactics of the two brotherhoods distinguished them during the Plague Wars and the Indomitus Crusade, until a fated war in which the Dark Angels had control of the battlefield. While at the first engagement things were going as planned, they often found themselves stranded and without support, fighting the worst of battles, taking the greatest losses. Soon, the cause was revealed. The mistrusting nature of the Dark Angels got the better of the High Command. The Primaris nature and the closeness of the two chapters made them ill at ease, for the risk of the shame of the Sons of the Lion being known was too great. Okay, so basically what's happened here is the Dark Angels are fighting alongside two Ultima founding chapters, one of which is of their own bloodline, but they see this new chapter as being too close to another chapter, and so not trustworthy. Cool, I see what you're doing here. The careful culling of the two chapters came to a head during a desperate Tyranid siege, in which the Dark Angels commanders refused support and extraction to the besieged brothers, openly admitting the plot. Sure of the imminent total destruction of their targets. The last culling was thwarted at the last moments by the brothers of the Nova Drakes, finally able to re-enter real space thanks to centuries of technological effort and the psychic anguish of their brothers. After a grueling battle, the few survivors of the Obsidian Blades found asylum in the system, taking their fortress monastery and what is this? Okay, we need to be very careful, and we need to be reading our work, alright? It's hard to read sometimes. Taking as their fortress and hive a gigantic asteroid gifted to them, quote-unquote, by the Orcs. And I quote, "We know your dark beakies love rocks, so we've got a big one for you." Like it, unquote. The orc-infested planetoid was actually an incredible boon for the Obsidian Blades, who have slowly covered it into a hive with the help of the civilians left after the siege and the use of tunnels and caves as the battlegrounds for gang wars and orc purging, creating a great stock of potential aspirants to the ranks of the chapter. In the 3 or so centuries that have passed in the system, the ranks have swelled considerably, thanks to the incredibly stable gene seed of the First Legion and the constant influx of refugees that the Obsidian Blades take after almost every real space raid as recompense for their services. Tactics and culture. The betrayal of the High Command left the Blades culturally scarred, as they have renounced any bond with their former parent chapter, declaring themselves the Unashamed. They take this moniker to heart, eschewing most honourable tactics, preferring an asymmetrical style of war, using every dirty trick imaginable, fighting as if they are still gangers in an underhive. The most common deployment of Obsidian Blades sees them conducting coordinated raids in numbers varying from 30 to 50 Marines between augmented gangers and Astartes. These attacks can either be surprise assaults on key targets, or come at the end of a guerrilla campaign, depending mostly on the scorn earned by the enemy faction more than any tactical necessity. The chapter is ruled by 3 warriors, which I still need to flesh out, but will be using the models of Belial, Logan Grimnar and Caven Shrike as their basis, each leading 3 talons, taken liberally from the hexagrammaton of Heresy Times. I love how I say that word. I've read that word so many times that, you know, I can read it off the top of my head. Alright. The Phobos / Assault / Scout is the most numerous, thanks to the many scout companies in the chapter, as the women of the gangs get recruited all the same, undergoing biomechanical procedures to reach the level of martial prowess impossible to unaugmented humans. That's fine. Just don't put them in Space Marine armor. That's fine. Absolutely fine. The specialization in subterfuge and long-distance warfare has made them renowned and nasty combatants. First in and first out of every fight, they are the most recognizable face of the chapter, gleefully brandishing the old redhead griffin icons to let the galaxy know that even when almost destroyed by their own brothers, they survived and will keep doing so, no matter the cost, especially to others. Its leader is an Amazonian ganga that rose through the ranks in virtue of her shrewdness and our objective-focused warfare. She's often known to lead an elite cadre of assault marines, adding a terrible sharpness to the otherwise unfocused and disjointed formations of her talon. I would actually use some battered Stormcast Eternals here for these models. That might be quite cool. The Riders and Raiders of the chapter are up next. While fewer in number, this section of the Blades has multiple specialists at their disposal. Mainly geared to the maintenance of the chapter armory and fleet, the pride of the Talon are the Griffin Riders, led by the boisterous beast, an enormous marine whose mannerisms and battle lust hide a deeply diplomatic and logistical mind whose efforts keep the chapter not only materially sound, but from destroying itself through intestine conflict. That's so funny. No, it's intestine conflict, not intestine conflict. Maybe they got really bad indigestion, I don't know. His best warriors are known to offer their services as guards to the other factions, both in the system and in real space. This is entirely taken from the Space Wars video. The idea is just too fitting and cool. Okay, cool. Excellent. Finally, an incredibly small host of Terminators, endlessly mocked and silently respected by the rest of the chapter, as they are still bound by traditional ideas of honour and duty. Such is their stubborn respect for the Lion that even before his reappearance, they gladly kept chaplains and knights of the Unforgiven Brethren amongst their numbers, shielding them from the scorn and the shame projected onto them by the rest of the Blades that, whilst thriving, do not forget the reason for their exile. Okay, cool. The leader of this the leader is a dour and unremarkable man whose deeds of honour and skill are drowned in the constant stream of crimes and exploits of the rest of the Obsidian Blades. While he finds most of the acts and compromises made by his predecessors reprehensible, he takes incredible pride in the continuing survival of his chapter, assuaging his doubt in the cold comfort that even if path is taken is not straight and true, they will still move forward, doing the Lion's work. Knowing that, when judgment will come, he will be able to keep his head high, truly unashamed of his and his Blade's legacy. Okay, I like this. Okay. The thing is, there are a bit too many, shall we say, mad ideas in here. You know, when you're, again, it's your lore, you enjoyed doing it, all power to you, man, and well done to you for writing lore. I love when people write lore. But there are few too many bonkers ideas in this for me. I generally try to keep the weirdness of my lore to 1 or 2 ideas. So mine is one weird idea for my chapter is that they are led by a clone of Angron, right? That's weird. Strange, right? My second bit of weirdness is that they were declared traitors by Gilliman and are still alive. Alright? That's the second bit that's weird. If I did any more than that, my own lore would start to break apart under its own weight. Do you know what I mean? As people would just stop reading it. I really like your lore, though. I like the way that you're mixing things in. Try not to do female Space Marines. We are told in the lore they can't happen. So, if you're going to do, like female Astartes-like people, maybe go with, like, a Stormcast Eternal sort of thing, and keep it like that, rather than being, you know, this huge thing of having female Space Marines. Anyway, moving on to our final chapter here. Let's have a look-see, because we do have some images of our current chapter. I like these guys. This is cool. Alright. So. Right. Good day, North. I hope all is well with you and this email finds you in good health. Please see below for a little excerpt about my lore. I hope it reads well, as I type this on my phone. My computer is dead. I'm in the middle of buying a new one. Photos attached. Thank you very much, my man. Alright. Chapter Master, Kaxun Steel. Alright. The Iron Sparks entered the scene of the 41st millennium during the 21st founding, the Cursed Founding, with a mixed gene seed inspired by the Istvan V massacre. Belisarius Cole created a gene seed based on the Iron Hands, Salamanders, and Raven Guard, throwing in Ultramarines into the mix for stability, since the other three have higher levels of mutation historically. Okay, did Cole do this? We need to be very careful that we're not ascribing, you know, things to Cole or things to the setting that didn't happen. I'm not sure Cole made his own gene seed. I think it's hinted that he may have used Traitor gene seed, but I'm not sure he made his own. So maybe we changed it up a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Perhaps. Anyway. The Iron Sparks are a fleet-based chapter with a fortress monastery that is a heavily modified 16-kilometer long battle barge, the Spark of Hope, and was originally an Apocalypse-class battleship. The Spark of Hope not only serves as a fortress monastery, but as a miniature hive city with the ability to self-sustain numbers thanks to the normal humans aboard the ship, helping maintain the ship's systems and feed the Iron Sparks Astra Militarum Regiment integrated into the Iron Sparks Space Marines Crusade. The Spark of Hope is equipped with augmented targeting arrays, void shields, Geller fields, armour like the ironclad battleships, a second set of power generation and plasma drives. This fortress monastery cannot sneak or stealth to save its life. It is a massive bulwark, barely able to turn. Thankfully, these are not the only modifications that have been made to the fortress monastery to help compensate for that fact. The Neo-Volkite Barge Breaker is a recent addition to the is a recent addition that Zunzun, is that his name? Zunzun? When you're... Okay, this name is spelled K-Z-U-X-U-N. You need to be giving me phonetic spellings here, right? Games Workshop does this as well, and it's really fucking annoying, right? Don't do that. If you're going to give me a weird-ass name that's hard to say, give me a phonetic spelling so I know how to say it, right? I'm going to call him Kazun. I'm going to call him Kazun, alright? Alright. The Neo-Volkite Barge Breaker is a recent addition that Kazun himself envisioned and directed the overall construction of. A twin-barreled Volkite cannon that is slightly larger than the lance batteries accompanying it alongside the prow and dorsal areas of the ship. Of course, it is also equipped with the standard bombardment cannons, plasma projectors, macro laser cannons, missile racks, torpedoes, and fusion beamers of other battle barges. The last of the notable weapons augmentations, however, is to the underslung Nova Cannon that has a double range of the standard Nova Cannon. Okay. Alright, you're somebody who likes their spaceships. I like it. I like it. Let's do a few more pickies here. Alright. Each member of the Iron Sparks has a natural proclivity towards one or two of their gene fathers. Mostly, this is simply expressed through behavioural traits and weapon proficiencies. Rarely are there explicit mutations of any kind. Kaizen, the 5th and current chapter master, is no exception. At first, it was just his behaviour that was still seen as considerably human in a similar manner to the salamanders. Then, Kaizen's mutations only became more obvious after he lost an arm and grew it back while still on the battlefield. Kaizen has a mutation of his Heimastamen and Laraman's organ, the 4th and 5th implants in a Space Marine, which have resulted in an incredible healing factor that mimics the nature of a perpetual. Okay, so he's not a perpetual, but it mimics it. I like that. The trade-off of this healing is the increased amount Kaizen has to eat and sleep in comparison to other Space Marines. Almost triple the amount. This has resulted in Kaizen even eating fallen foes in the middle of battle just to satiate the internal engine that is his body. That's an amazing piece of lore. I love that. That's an amazing piece of lore. Very well written, that man. Very nice. Alright. Let me read a bit more. On the battlefield, the Iron Sparks the Iron Sparks behave in accordance with the leadership present. If the captain has proclivities towards tactics reminiscent of the salamanders, like Kaizen, they'll fight and behave like salamander successors. If the highest authority is even perhaps only a lieutenant, and the individual has proclivities towards the Iron Hands, then the fighting and behaviour of those under the lieutenant's command will behave similarly to what you would expect of the Iron Hands. While perhaps never being as truly as effective or efficient as the progenitors of their respected ways of war, the Iron Sparks are well practiced with how the Raven Guard, Ultramarines, Iron Hands and Salamanders wage war and seek to be good at all forms. The individual only really developing aspects of the war that they are most identifying with. This adaptive way of war has been the Iron Sparks' main mantra of war for centuries, almost out of necessity due to their fighting alongside their Iron Sparks humans counterpart, the Iron Sparks Astra Militarum Regiment, that are integrated into the Iron Sparks Crusade, which themselves serve as a respected role within the Iron Sparks as a whole. Lastly, the Iron Sparks have notably a tradition turning almost adult human males into Space Marine equivalents, with most of the implants of a normal Space Marine and heavy bionics. The success rate is an impressive 10%. Those who fail will still have their sons identified as potential recruits for the normal Space Marine program. And that is the Iron Sparks lore. I like these guys. Again, that is a great chapter master, by the way. Love this guy. I want to hear more about him. But saying this, what do I say to this? A wonderful melding of ideas here. Because what you've done, I know what you've done in your brain. You've gone, I quite like the way these separate factions, these separate chapters, go to war. And instead of just choosing one, I'm going to be a cheeky so-and-so, and I'm going to do all of them in a single chapter. I like it. I also like the fact that they're in the same colours as the Joker. I am wondering if he did that on purpose, but, you know, it is what it is. Love the chapter. I think they're really cool. I love the way that they integrate Imperial Guard into the wider chapter. I think that's great. Absolutely phenomenal. I would probably, as a piece of lore, I would write something to do with why your chapter fights the way it does, right? Why do they accept all of these Imperial Guardsmen into their crusade? Why are they always on crusade? What events have shaped them into being what they are? What you've given me here is a chapter right out of the box, finished and ready to go, which I really like, but at the same time, I would like to know what made them this way. Alright? Maybe expand upon your lore doing pieces like that. Alright? Cool. I loved everything about today. Awesome stuff as usual, my guys. Again, You are some very, very, very talented fellows. Please, keep your stuff coming in. Keep it all on the way. I want to read more and more and more as the months go on. This was Chapter 3 of your Space Marine chapters. I love you a long time, and I'll speak to you tomorrow, because tomorrow we are going to be doing some hobby nightmares that aren't really nightmares, but I can promise you they will have all hobby in them, because yesterday's was annoying, and then I had one hobby nightmare in there that was really long and didn't have much hobby in it. Tomorrow's will, and there will also be positive hobby nightmares. Yes, it is Hugs for Everybody Friday tomorrow. Love you all a long time. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye now.